I still love that bit. Hey up, now then, what's up with it? Today it's quite a long poem, so I'll get straight into it after the 29-hour upload of my other vlog. So anyway, this poem, it's a poem by Alfred Noyes. It's called The Highwayman. It's quite famous, again, lots of people might have heard it. If you haven't, you're in for a treat, I think. Alfred Noyes were an English poet, a short story writer and a playwright. He was born in 1880 and died in 1958. Alfred Noyes was often seen as a militarist and a jingoist, but actually he was a pacifist who hated war and lectured against it, but felt that when threatened by an aggressive and unreasonable enemy, a nation could not but fight. And on that principle, he strongly opposed the Boer War, but supported the Allies in both World Wars. In fact, he tried to enlist but was turned down on medical grounds, and spent most of the First World War in the propaganda department. The poem talks about the infinite love of the highwayman and his beloved, an innkeeper's daughter called Bess. It also tells of how one can easily embrace death for the sake of love. So here we go. The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes. The wind was a torrent of darkness amongst the gusty trees. The moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, and the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. He'd a French cocked hat on his forehead, a bunch of lace at his chin, a coat of claret velvet and breeches of brown doe skin. They fitted with never a wrinkle, his boots were up to his thigh, and he rode with a jewel twinkle, his pistol butts a twinkle, his rapier hilt a twinkle under the jewelled sky. Over the cobbles he clattered and clashed in the dark inn-yard, and he tapped with his whip on the shutters, but all was locked and barred. He whistled a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. And dark in the old inn-yard a stable wicket creaked, where Tim the hostler listened. His face was white and peaked. His eyes were hollows of madness, his hair like mouldy hay. But he loved the landlord's daughter, the landlord's red-lipped daughter. Dumb as a dog he listened, and he heard the robber say, "One kiss, my bonny sweetheart, I'm after a prize tonight, but I shall be back with the yellow gold before the morning light. Yet if they press me sharply and harry me through the day, then look out for me by moonlight. Watch out for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." He rose upright in the stirrups, he scarce could reach her hand, but she loosed her hair in the casement. His face burnt like a brand as the black cascade of perfume came tumbling over his breast, and he kissed its waves in the moonlight. Oh, sweet black waves in the moonlight. Then he tugged at his rein in the moonlight and galloped away to the west. He did not come in the dawning, he did not come at noon, and out of the tawny sunset before the rise of the moon, when the road was a gypsy ribbon looping the purple moor, a red-coat troop came marching, marching, marching. King George's men came marching up to the old inn door. They said no word to the landlord, they drank his ale instead, but they gagged his daughter and bound her to the foot of the narrow bed. Two of them knelt at her casement with muskets at their side. There was death at every window, and hell at one dark window. For Bess could see through her casement the road that he would ride, They had tied her up to attention with many a sniggering jest. They had bound a musket beside her with the barrel beneath her breast. "Now keep good watch," and they kissed her. She heard the dead man say, "Look for me in the moonlight, watch for me in the moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." She twisted her hands behind her, but all the knots held good. She writhed her hands till her fingers were wet with sweat or blood. They stretched and strained in the darkness, and the hours crawled by like years. Now, on the stroke of midnight, cold on the stroke of midnight, the tip of one finger touched it. The trigger, at least, was hers. The tip of one finger touched it. She strove no more for the rest. Up she stood to attention with the barrel beneath her breast. She would not risk their hearing, she would not strive again, for the road lay bare in the moonlight, blank and bare in the moonlight, and the blood of her veins in the moonlight throbbed to her love's refrain. Clot, 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 had they heard it, the horses' hoofs ringing clear? Clot, 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 clot in the distance? Were they deaf that they did not hear? Down the ribbon of moonlight, over the brow of the hill, the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The redcoats looked to their priming. She stood up straight and still. Clot, clot in the frosty silence, clot, clot in the echoing night. Nearer he came and nearer, her face was like a light. Her eyes grew wide for a moment, she drew one last deep breath. Then her fingers moved in the moonlight. Her musket shattered the moonlight, shattered her breast in the moonlight, and warned him with her death. He turned and spurred to the westward. He did not know who stood, bowed with her head o'er the musket, drenched with her own red blood. Not till the dawn he heard it, and slowly blanched to hear how Bess, the landlord's daughter, the landlord's black-eyed daughter, had watched for her love in the moonlight and died in the darkness there. Back he spurred like a madman, shrieking a curse to the sky, with the white road smoking behind him and his rapier brandished high. Red blood were his spurs in the golden noon, wine red was his velvet coat, when they shot him down on the highway, down like a dog on the highway, and he lay in his blood on the highway, with the bunch of lace at his throat. And still of a winter's night, they say, when the wind is in the trees, when the moon is a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas, when the road is a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, a highwayman comes riding, riding, riding. A highwayman comes riding up to the old inn door. Over the cobbles he clatters and clangs in the dark inn yard, and he taps with his whip on the shutters, but all is locked and barred. He whistles a tune to the window, who knows and who should be waiting there, but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot in her long black hair. Oh, I told you to have your tissues ready. Quite a powerful poem, that. You can see where love makes you ready to embrace death for the sake of love. Proper gripping, that. Anyway, I shall waffle on no more. Otherwise, I'll have a tear in my eye. Or in my other eye. I've already got one in one. So I'll say, my usual salute. Up yours, COVID-19. Stay safe, people. Make the best of what you've got and be happy. Catch you later. Bye for now. Still love it. Bye.